You are tuned in to On Air with Chris Shanafelt. Welcome back On Air with Chris Shanafelt as we continue our 2019 NFL Draft Prospect interview series powered by NFL Draft Bible, NFLDraftBible.com. It's a pleasure to welcome onto the show one of the top pass rushers in the country out of Eastern Michigan University. He's Maxx Crosby, and I had the opportunity to chat with Max a little bit down in Indianapolis at the NFL Combine. After a stellar performance there, again, he's kind enough to dial into the show now. Max, really appreciate you taking some time this evening. How's everything going, man?
Great, man. Thanks for having me on. I'm excited.
Yeah, absolutely. The pleasure's all mine. So I'm not going to say you were an unknown prospect before the impressive outing you had at the Combine because that just wouldn't be true. But after measuring in at a 6'5", 255, you ran a 4.66 40-yard dash. You notched a 36-inch vertical. Over 10-foot broad jump and the 6.89 in the three-cone. A lot of people began doing their research once your weekend in Indianapolis wrapped up, Max. You've kind of become a known commodity now, at least in the draft world. Your stock has risen quite a bit over the past week, 10 days. We'll just kick off the interview by asking, where were you training at for the Combine? Who helped you prepare? And looking back, how do you feel you performed in Indy?
Yeah, man. So I'm out here in Phoenix, Arizona, training at Exos. I think it's the best facility in the world, man. It's, Coach Barlow and Coach Nick have been doing everything they can to have all of us guys ready. And I've been just out here for the last 2 months working super hard, and I'm back out here right now getting ready for Pro Day. So overall, I thought the Combine went really well. I had a great time out there. It was a little bit stressful at times, but it was 4.5 days, and it's a once in a lifetime type of deal. So I soaked it up and had as much fun as I could with it, man, and it turned out really well.
How big of an opportunity was that for you, Max? Especially coming out of Eastern Michigan, I gotta think that was something you're really keeping your eye on. Being a junior. Entering the draft early, you didn't get the opportunity to participate in one of the college football all-star games. How big of an opportunity was it for you to be in Indianapolis to kind of show the league what kind of athlete you are?
Yeah, man. So it was a huge deal. I've been watching the Combine since I was literally a child. So, just getting the invite was a freaking blessing, man. So, I was super excited for it. And, I've had a lot of people question, my athleticism and all those type of things. And honestly, I took it as an insult. And I believe I'm a great athlete. And I got an opportunity on a live stage to show what I can do, and I felt like I knocked it out the park.
Well, you absolutely did. I read off the numbers earlier, and we have the numbers listed in the description of this interview. You mentioned it. You're down back at Exos preparing for your Pro Day. It takes place March 22nd at Eastern Michigan. Have you decided what drills, what you'll be exactly participating in on that March 22nd Pro Day, or will you be standing on any of your Combine numbers?
Yeah. So I'm just going to be doing the position work and the bench press. I didn't bench at Combine. I had a little bit of a tricep injury. It wasn't anything serious, but I wanted to be 100% because I've had questions about my strength and my overall strength and that type of deal. So I wanted to be 100% ready for that. So I delayed that for the Pro Day, and I'm also going to be doing the position work and just showing them again what I can do in space and just showing I can be a fluid athlete all around.
Again, he's Maxx Crosby, 2019 NFL Draft Prospect, defensive end out of Eastern Michigan. When you hear that, Max, 2019 NFL Draft Prospect, I mean, has it kind of hit you yet that you've played in your last college football game and that the next time you strap up your helmet, your pads, that you'll be in the National Football League?
Honestly, it hasn't really hit me, man. Everything's been going super fast. So, ever since the season ended, I flew right back home and I got to hang with my family for a little bit, and then it was straight to training. So everything's just been happening super fast. It's a stressful process, but at the end of the day, it's only going to happen once. So I've just been soaking it up, and it really hasn't hit me. Obviously, once draft day comes, And, you know, obviously once it gets closer to draft day, you know, the nerves are going to be going a little bit. But honestly, I'm just super excited to see where I end up. And, you know, I can't wait for this next step in life.
I'm sure you've met with just about every team, especially you know, your 4 days in Indianapolis, Max. But we're in Chicago, and the Bears can certainly use another edge rusher or two to throw in the mix with Khalil Mack, Leonard Floyd off the edge. You can never have enough pass rushers. Have you met with the Bears at all? And if so, what were those meetings like? What were those conversations like? And for you, Max, what would it like to be playing opposite side of a former Mack? Defensive Player of the Year and one of the league's top pass rushers, Khalil Mack?
You know, first off, I just want to say, yeah, that would be absolutely amazing. You know, to learn from the best pass rusher in the game, arguably, in Khalil Mack. But yeah, the Bears. You know, I can't give you too many details, obviously, but I had a formal with Chicago, and it went really well. I thought it went really well, and you know, I got to meet all the coaches and. It was awesome. You know, it was great meeting them, and you know, they knew a lot about me, which I thought was really cool. And yeah, you know, I would love to play for Chicago. You know, I would love to play for anybody. I'm just excited to get back out there and play some football.
And looking a little bit at your journey, Max, you know, your journey to EMU, you actually grew up in Detroit, Michigan before your family decided to move to Texas when you were 11. There you would attend Heritage High School in Colleyville, Texas, which of course produced an NFL first-round pick in Christian Ponder a handful of years ago. How did EMU come into the picture, and how crazy of a coincidence was it that your only D1 offer came from you know, the state that you were born in, the state that you you know, spent the first 11 years of your life in?
Yeah, so it was kind of a crazy process. You know, Eastern was my only offer, and you know, my dream, you know, coming out of high school, obviously my dream growing up was to play D1 football, because I know, you know, that's the first step at, you know, going towards pro. And you know, I always wanted to play D1 and play, you know, at the highest level of college football. And Eastern was my only offer. You know, growing in high school, you know, I was only about 6'2", playing middle linebacker. My first 3 years. And then going into my senior year, I had a big growth spurt, and I was around 6'5", and we got a brand new coaching staff. So they were like, obviously we're not playing you a middle linebacker anymore. You know, we think you'd be effective on the edge, and we'll play you at a little bit of tight end. And I was all for it. But the tricky thing about it was that I had zero film, you know, going into my senior year. And, you know, the junior year, after your junior year, the recruiting and all that type of stuff picks up. And I had no film at the position, so nobody was offering me. And Eastern came down to a spring practice, and I was just in practice working out, and they saw how I moved, and you know, they started to like me and talk to me and stuff. So in my head, I was like, they're a D1 school, you know, it's back home where, you know, most of my family still is. And I was like, I'm going all in for Eastern. I was like, nobody else wants me. They're a D1 program. I'm like, all right, I'm all over it. So they talked to me a bunch, and their coach invited me, Coach McCaslin at the time, the D coordinator, he invited me up to their camp. So I told my mom, I'm like, we got to go up there for the camp. And every summer we would drive up back to Michigan because all my buddies were back there. So we kind of made a detour on the way to our buddies. And me and one of my best friends, we went to the camp together, and we killed it, and we both got offers right after the camp. So we both got offers, and we committed, like, right away, basically. He committed maybe a couple days, and I committed, like, a week or two after. So, you know, I got the opportunity, and I took it, and I ran with it.
And you know, the rest is history, as they say, Max. I mean, the impact you're able to have on the program in just 3 years was really quite impressive. It's something you rarely see. In 37 career games, you piled up 41 tackles for loss, 20 sacks, 8 forced fumbles, 4 fumble recoveries, a blocked kick, and an interception in which the ball found its way to your hands after you swatted it, bounced it off your knee. You're able to catch it. 2 yards later, you find yourself in the end zone. But really, I mean, the numbers and you can match it up with the tape. It's just as fun, if not even more fun, when diving into your film, Max. You certainly left your mark on the EMU football program. As I mentioned earlier, you decided after 3 years you would declare for the NFL draft. I mean, can you just talk about what went into that decision to leave school early to, pursue your dream into making it to the NFL? And two-part question. Overall, how would you describe your experience at Eastern Michigan playing for the Eagles the last few years?
Yeah, so, going to Eastern, I was actually there for 4 years. I redshirted my first year. And then, played 3 years after that. I felt like, the decision obviously wasn't easy. And, I had to have a lot of, tough conversations and a lot of good talks with, my coaches, my family, my girlfriend, all the closest people to me. And I felt as if it was time to, take the next step in my life and my career. So, I ended up, making that decision and, doing the same thing, I did back 4 years ago when I went to Eastern. I'm just trying to, take it and just run with it as far as I can. So, man, I don't regret it at all. I'm super excited for this next chapter. And I forgot what you asked me second, so I'm sorry about that. What was the second part of it?
No, I mean, you kind of answered. You just talking about a little bit your overall experience. I'll hit you with this, Max. I mean, Eastern Michigan, there are guys from the EMU football program that have made it to the next level, that are currently playing at the next level. Former defensive end Pat O'Connor, a Chicagoan, now playing with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Yeah. How about Andrew Wiley, now playing with the Kansas City Chiefs? I mean, what kind of opportunity was that for you, playing on the other side of him? What was it like to go up against an NFL caliber offensive lineman there at Eastern Michigan?
Yeah, so, I'm super close with both of those guys. And, Sergio Bailey as well at Tampa, and, Darius Jackson's with the Cowboys. And I'm still, our team looks like a big family. So all those guys, when I got there, took me under their wing. And it's just awesome to see what they're doing right now. Going against Wiley, it's actually funny because, I came in as a freshman. I was around 215, 220. Playing scout team, and Wiley was the guy I went against the majority of the time. So me and him would go at it every single day, and he probably hated me just because I brought it every single rep. And guys like him, are a reason why I'm here today. They help me out so much, and I still talk to them all the time. Like yesterday, I literally FaceTimed Wiley, and he was just giving me some great advice. And those guys really paved the way for, people like me. And, I'm just trying to do what they have done and, take it even a step farther and try to be, the best player I possibly can be.
A few more questions for Maxx Crosby, the defensive end out of Eastern Michigan University, 2019 NFL draft prospect, here on air with Chris Shanafelt. And, Max, I mean, you kind of got on my radar, me personally, maybe midway through your sophomore year. For you, though, you said it's always been the dream. When did this dream really become within your grasp? When did you realize that you had a legit shot at playing professional football?
I always believed it, but at the end of the day, I wasn't there physically. And going into my redshirt sophomore year, where it was my breakout season, I guess you can say. After that season, it really became clear to me that I can really do this at a high level. I always wanted to do it, and putting up that production and stuff, I felt like I could fit in and play against any guy they put me out there against. So, after that season, it really became real for me, and it just made me work that much harder. Like I'm still so far from where I could be, and I feel like my ceiling is a lot higher than a lot of guys. I feel like I'm just getting started. I'm 21 years old, and I'm ready to just keep getting better and get to a place that they accept me for who I am, and just let me thrive in whatever system I play in.
A lot of people kind of label you as a small school prospect. Max, I'm a big fan of MAC football. I really don't consider any FBS program to be a small school. I'm a fan of FCS, D2, etc. But Eastern Michigan, I wouldn't really consider it a small school. I don't consider you coming from a small school. How about you, though, Max? I mean, when you hear all the small school prospect out of Eastern Michigan, I mean, does that add a chip to your shoulder? Do you feel like you're a small school prospect or an under-the-radar prospect? What goes through your mind when you hear those things?
I see it all the time, and we get that small school little label, but we're playing against Purdue and Kentucky and all those teams.
And beating Purdue.
That's what I'm saying. And, I feel like I was playing some of my best ball against the bigger teams. So, it's just a part of it. People are going to use that. But, there's so many players from, Maxx schools, for example, like Antonio Brown, J.J. Watt, James Harrison, Jason Taylor. I can go on and on, but there's so many guys that have just broken the mold and just showed, that obviously that all that, playing at Big Ten schools and all that stuff really doesn't matter at the end of the day. If you can play football, you can play football. So that's how I'm coming, towards it. I'm just, I honestly, labels are labels, but at the end of the day, if you can play, you can play. So that's the way I look at it.
Can I get your thoughts on a fellow MAC pass rusher, Sutton Smith, out of Northern Illinois? Any thoughts on his game? He's kind of going through this same process that you are, being a player from the MAC, going through this draft process. And, again, I mean, when people are talking about the top pass rushers in the conference, those are the first two names to come up, Maxx Crosby, Sutton Smith. Any thoughts on the former Northern Illinois Husky?
Yeah, so, obviously – yeah, you're right about that. The comparison all the time. And, obviously the last couple of years we've been compared a lot. But, we're two completely different players, I feel like. He has his own skill set and I have my own. And, he's a super cool dude. I was at the combine this past week, and we got to meet each other finally. And, a lot of people have talked about both of us, but we haven't actually got to talk to each other. So, it was cool getting to meet him. He's a super cool dude. And yeah, we went out there and we competed, and had a blast out there in Indy.
For those not familiar with your game, Max, let's say they're just hearing about you for the very first time. How would you describe your game when they turn on the film of Maxx Crosby? What are some of the things they're going to see within the first minute or two of game film?
They're going to see somebody who plays super violent and physical. They're going to see somebody who's a game changer, who takes the ball away from the offense. I'm just a guy who's constantly around the ball, either way, playing in the backfield, getting after the quarterback, getting after the running back. I'm just a guy that's always around the ball and consistently trying to make game-changing plays for my team.
It may sound generic, but I mean, when watching your highlights, even Max, I mean, it's refreshing because it looks like you're always giving it your all. You can't really tell when it's the first play or the last play of the game. And it looks like you're generally just having fun out there, especially when you're just out there dominating. I mean, when let's say you get your first NFL sack, you got a celebration prepared for that?
No, I haven't thought that far yet. I'm just trying to get on the team first. But, no, man, I have so much fun with the game. And that's something I learned as I got into my role as a starter, was just having fun with it. Because at the end of the day, it's a game, and, I love playing it. So, a lot of people like to take it super seriously, like when they're on the field and stuff like that. But for me, obviously I take it really serious, but the more relaxed I am, the better I play. So I just try to have fun with it, get everybody else juiced on the field, and have everybody, just smooth and playing loose and playing to the best of their ability.
5-10 years down the road, Max, when looking at your Eastern Michigan Eagles career, what's going to be the first play or two that comes to mind? What are some of those memories of yours that are going to come to mind when looking down the road?
You're saying like just one individual play?
Yeah, if you could point out 1, 2, I'll even give you 3 plays. You got a few plays that might come to mind?
The first play that comes to mind was at Central, my redshirt sophomore year. first play of the game, I had a strip sack for a touchdown, and that was my first touchdown since middle school. So I didn't score all of high school, and that was an awesome moment to get into the end zone. And this year I had like a tip pass for an interception right around the goal line and got a touchdown. And scoring a touchdown for a big guy like me is not a normal thing. So definitely those two plays were the first ones that come to mind, just because I'm not used to scoring like that.
I gotta ask you, man. You felt them both. What feels better? What do you prefer? Strip sack for a touchdown or an interception for a touchdown? As a big guy, I think you're gonna surprise me and say the interception for a touchdown.
No, I would say strip sack, just because it's always great to get a hit on the quarterback, and especially when the ball comes out. That's a double bonus. So. I would have to say strip sack for sure, but an interception isn't bad either.
You've obviously played with your hand in the dirt there at Eastern Michigan. Do you feel like that'll carry over to the next level, or do you think there's a chance that you'll be standing up in the NFL?
Yeah. So a lot of teams see me as both. So in the NFL, it's about half and half between 3-4 and 4-3. The 4-3 teams want me to bulk up, obviously more, and play the end position. But a lot of 3-4 teams see me as the 3-4, outside linebacker, pass rusher, and that's perfectly fine with me. I'm comfortable with that, and that's something I would obviously be excited to try it out and do something a little bit different. I did it a little bit in college, but honestly, whatever team takes me is gonna want me to do one or the other, and I'm willing to do both. So I'm just excited to just be able to put on a helmet again. So whatever it takes, I'm willing to do it.
And final question, then we'll let you go, Max. Really do appreciate your time. Let's say we have all 32 NFL general managers. They're tuned in, listening to this very interview. Why should they want the defensive end out of Eastern Michigan University, Maxx Crosby, a part of their team?
They're gonna, I'm gonna always be a guy that's gonna bring it every single day, regardless if it's a game, practice, workout. I'm gonna give it 110% every single game, and I'm gonna be a game changer. That's something I added to my game 2 years ago, and affecting the ball and taking the ball away from the offense is the number one thing at the end of the day. So if you get me, I'm gonna be somebody that's gonna give it 100% all the time, and be a game changer right off the bat.
Hey, Max, you're one of the more electrifying prospects in the 2019 NFL Draft. Really do appreciate you hopping on the show. Congratulations on what was a big week down in Indianapolis at the NFL Combine. Best of luck March 22nd at that Pro Day. Any draft day plans, man?
Yeah, so, I'm just going to have, my family and friends all down at my house in Texas, and we're going to do it down there. So nice. I'm super excited for that.
And I believe we're about 44 days away from the kickoff to the NFL Draft. Max, really appreciate you taking some time this evening, and, again, wishing you all the best, man.
No, thank you, man. Appreciate you having me on, and hopefully we'll talk soon. You got my number, so we'll talk, man.